Let's talk about social media, specifically as it relates to boutique fitness studio owners and the time that you are spending on the social media platforms. I'm Sarah Glanfield. I'm the founder of Spring 3. I'm a business coach and consultant to boutique fitness studios all around the world. And I'm also the host of the Pilates Business Podcast. Now, I have been coaching and consulting boutique fitness studios for nearly 10 years now. And social media and the impact of social media on our businesses has changed tremendously over that time. And different trends and tactics have come and gone. And what we know is that it is here to stay. And it is a tool that we have in our toolkit for increasing brand awareness and increasing visibility within our community and amongst our target audience. Now, in terms of the time that it takes you to utilize social media effectively in your marketing, there's many different factors to consider. But what we know is that about 63% of small business owners spend somewhere between 1 and 5 hours per week on social media. But the majority of those people want to actually spend even less than that. Now, that might seem like a lot to you. It might seem like a little to you. Overall, the majority of people that I speak to want to spend less time on the platform, but they want to get the maximum benefit from those platforms as possible when it comes to growing their businesses. So, if your goal is to spend less time on the platform, but you want to still reap all the rewards that can potentially come from being active on social media, then let's talk a little bit about what that could for you. And specifically, I want to talk about how effective social media marketing really is at making revenue for your studio. I want you to talk a little bit about how to decide which platform is the right platform for your business. And I also want to talk about how we can use systems and specific automations and platforms and softwares to optimize your efforts so that you're spending less time on those platforms and more time doing perhaps more of the things that you love. So, first of all, how effective is social media really at making money for your studio? Right? This is the big question. And when we look at the data, if we just look at the number of hours spent on social media and we look at the number of clients that we get from it, most studios, I would say, don't have, aren't tracking, I should say, first of all, aren't tracking that data specifically. But we do often, I get the feeling from most of the studio owners that I work with that we don't often see the rewards very quickly. And that's very, very much the case across the board. Now, that said, social media marketing is still an incredibly important component and tool and tactic within your marketing bucket. And the reality is that when it comes to growing your presence in your community, increasing your visibility beyond the four walls of your studio, you can be out there networking within your community. You can be spreading the word via referrals, but social media is sort of is the other part of that. And the name of the game with social media is really to use it to increase brand awareness, increase visibility, yes, but also to get your existing followers and even your existing clients engaging with your content there as another touch point that you can use to stay top of mind with your clients. And that is often where you see the biggest benefit within your business is not to necessarily always to bringing clients in the door. It's often nurturing those relationships outside of the studio to help increase retention and stickiness within your community. If you're running ads you're paying for digital marketing and via ad spend, then you will see that you will be able to attract people into your studio with specific offers and campaigns to do that. And when you do that, you will want to make sure you are absolutely tracking every single piece of data that you possibly can, and that those efforts are bringing you a return on your investment in terms of that ad spend. And when I look at the return on that investment, I look at not just how many people it brought to you, but how long those people stay and how much money they're spending inside of your studio. So when it comes to organic marketing, which is what I'm going to talk mostly about here, one of the most precious resources that you have is your time. And you're wearing a lot of different hats in your business. One of those hats might be chief marketing officer. And so you have to be thoughtful and careful and intentional about which marketing efforts are really going to bring you the outcomes that you really want. And if you want social media to be one of those places you spend your energy and time, then you want to be very intentional about how you are using it. You want to make sure you are being strategic with the messaging that you are sharing, the content you are sharing, the stories that you are telling, and that you are building and engaging with your audience there to ultimately encourage them to stay within your community or even to invite friends into your community. So it needs to be very much very strategic way that you're building your organic social media marketing efforts. So which platform is the right platform for you? Because, there are many out there. There's a lot of different platforms, and there's newer platforms that are coming along all the time. I've downloaded at least 2 or 3 in the last couple of weeks that, we are seeing pop up all over. So which of these platforms are worth spending your time on, and how much time should you spend on each of them? And I want to caution you, first of all, that there is probably very little benefit to being on all of the platforms. Okay. So if you are already spending your time across 3 or 4 or 5 different platforms, I would really encourage you to perhaps narrow that down. The reason being is that each of those platforms operates slightly differently and are looking for you to post content in slightly different ways, which means that if you're optimizing across those platforms and you are doing this in-house yourself, it is incredibly time consuming. The second thing is that what we know is that most studios have a very specific clientele that they work with. And it doesn't have to be a demographic or an age-related demographic, but that you will find that many of your clients perhaps prefer 1 or 2 platforms, and they themselves may not actually be purchasing, or they may not trust some of the newer platforms that exist. So I would ask yourself the question of, where are your clients right now? Where are they engaging right now? Which social media platforms are they using? And which social media platforms do they trust enough to perhaps click through a link and then perhaps book a class or purchase a session? And that's really where you should spend your time. Now, how much time should you spend on social media? Well, this really is dependent heavily on a lot of things, like your ability to create content easily or not so easily, how many other people you have in your team supporting you and helping you, and many other things. But what we do know is that when it comes to social media, you want to make sure, like I said, that your efforts are intentional and that they're going to give you the outcomes that you want. So once you know what your goals are, you'll know what actions to take, and then you'll get the results that you're looking for, right? So we want to make sure, though, that whatever we are doing on social media, that we have some systems and some processes in place to make your ability to perhaps create content easily and quickly, upload it easily and quickly, and post it regularly and consistently, right? And that means that we really do need to make use of a software that enables you to schedule your posts out over a period of time. Now, I would love to say that every studio owner that I work with batches their content by the month, but this is not the case. This is not the world we live in. But I would recommend that you carve out 1 to 2 hours each week to create the captions and what messaging that you want to send over social media for that week. I also recommend that you think about using a plan for each day of the week or certain days of the month that you want to share certain messages with your audience. And that could be anything from your values for your brand and sharing that with your audience, or inviting them to bring a friend to a class, or inviting them in, new clients in to try your new introductory offer or your new client special. And you want to make sure you're sprinkling different types of content out throughout that week or that month, so that you're not overwhelming people with the exact same content every single day. And that's what makes people sit up, take notice, and get curious about what is going on inside of your studio, and perhaps curious enough that they click on the link and book that session and book that class, right? So I would encourage you to utilize some of the amazing software that is out there and available to you to pre-schedule those posts in advance. You can use the software platforms themselves. They sometimes have the ability to do that within them, or you can use a separate platform that allows you to perhaps post across many different platforms if that's what you choose to do. So I would recommend that you carve out the time each week to schedule those posts out and make sure they're relevant to what's happening within your studio each week, and that they include content that connects you to your audience. Okay. So time is money, time is important. I don't want to see you spending, 15 hours a week on your social media at all. But I do want to make sure that you are optimizing that as a tool within your business to create connection, to create connection with the people who are following you that are not your clients, but also create connection with the people who are following you that are your clients, right? So, social media is here to stay, but I do recommend that you take the time to get intentional about the way that you're using it, get very specific with the platforms that you are using, and then make sure that you are planning ahead and you're using some software to help you that can help to automate delivery of those posts. I hope this is helpful to you, and let me know if you have any other questions.